What screams I'm way richer than I look? Unique or somewhat odd collections of things most people don't collect. I worked in a high-end whiskey store for many years, and a number of shabbily dressed men from overseas who strode in to spend $5, $10, $000 on whiskey for their collection was staggering. They were always chatty, knowledgeable, and above all casual. One man in particular had been collecting for decades. His wife was fully supportive. She had her own collection of rare items, he implied, and he enjoyed traveling the world to pick them up as an excuse to go someplace. Conversations often went like this: customer, I see from your website you have the rare bottling from 1967. Do you have any in stock now? Me, we do. Yes, it's downstairs. In fact, we have a few of that vintage, as well as the 1953, 1966, and 1972. Would you like to know the prices? Customer, oh, great. I think that fills a couple of gaps in my collection. And if not, the guys and my wife will enjoy cracking one open. Can you package them up for me please? Me, would you like to know how much they are? Sir. Customer, can you ship them all to my place? In fact, if you had discounts for bulk items, I'd like to know what other vintages you have, and so on. I went to dinner with the GF and her parents. After we ate, the owner came out and asked how the meal was, and then we left without a bill ever coming to the table. On the way home I asked GF about it, and she said her dad had tabs at all the restaurants he liked to eat at. As we were leaving, the valet brought the cars around, and I mentioned I liked his Tahoe. I asked what year it was, and he kind laughed and said whatever is the newest one. I didn't know he owned a car dealership in another city. I work at a luxury resort. People call to book rooms with me all day and they aren't cheap. I can tell when it's obvious a young couple who had to scrape together the dough for the cheapest room. But every once in a while I'll get a call from someone who casually calls and asks to book the biggest room without asking for the price. They know exactly what they want, and the price means nothing to them. 5k a night. No biggie. Here is my card number. I represented a guy who was / rich. I mean as in filthy. Owns buildings. Plural. In Manhattan. I was in house counsel to his company. So one day he comes to my office and tells me he needs me to go to a meeting with him crosstown and about 30 blocks north. He tells me to wait, he has to get the car. So I'm standing on the street and he pulls up in the company van that his employee use for building maintenance, to carry stuff to renovate spaces for new tenants, etc. It's pretty crappy. On the way I asked him why he was driving this. All things considered, he was an older self-made guy who was pretty down to earth. Why the van? He said obviously he could drive or take a cab years before Uber, but why bother? In Manhattan most spaces in Midtown on down are parking for commercial vehicles only, and parking a car can be pricey. The van had commercial plates, so he could pretty much park in front of wherever he was going. Why waste money on a cab or parking a car? Couldn't argue with that. We parked right in front of the building. They avoid any discussion of money. When paying for anything they like to do it privately / quietly / before anyone else is aware. So you end up walking in and out of places feeling like you haven't paid. Almost as if money doesn't exist. They don't flaunt it. Sorts. I was dating a girl and didn't realize she and her whole family were rich until her dad picked us up for dinner in a brand new Mercedes. Proceeded to pay for everything during our trip, and our Christmas presents were first class flights to the US from Australia for a ski holiday. That's around AUD $10-15k, US $7-11k per person. He also financially supports his other daughter at Cornell University / living in the US. I grew up poor and still am. Lol. But I never realized how poor until I met that family. I had reason to frequent a small but popular marina at a certain Gulf Coast city. I encountered one old man often. Enough we greeted each other with random chit chat. Lovely gentleman. He wore a crumpled old hat, a grease-spotted t-shirt, cut-off jeans, and worn deck shoes. He always putted around the largest yacht in the marina, about 60 feet long. He would polish the chrome, wash the deck, clean the life preservers. I didn't assume he was the maintenance guy because he had such self-confidence. I never saw him actually take it out. I got up the nerve to ask security who he was. He owned most of the commercial real estate in the city. Brands that are so expensive that us poor people haven't heard them. That's how I've seen my tools as of late. When I first started working, I would buy the cheapest brand of tools just to have them. I worked for guys that owned really nice tools that they had bought 10 to 15 years before and still use them. I saw one called Fieldpiece and asked how much he paid for the multimeter. I had just bought my first one at $30. He bought his for $240 and had a lifetime service warranty on them. Within a couple of months, mine stopped working. There is a reason why people spend thousands on their tools. When asked about their income, they respond with uncomfortable without elaborating. Flashing money will leave you in a lonely place. If you have a few dollars, you don't want to make others feel strange. If you flash it, then they don't want to talk about their problems because it feels more embarrassing. And you can't talk about yours because now you're just whining. As if money in the bank is the solution to all of our problems. It's just the solution to one problem. Money can be pretty isolating, and this is why some rich people only hang out with other rich people. But not all rich people are very interesting. The type that nonchalantly offers you a spot in their luxury box at a game or concert, or covers your course fees at a golf outing, even though you barely know them. Knew a gentleman that lived fairly modest. One time mentioned I was looking forward to going to a NBA game for the local team. He said, "Oh, that's nice. If you stop by the office, I give you some better seats." I didn't think much of it, but did need to go by the office for work. Checked in at the front. "Hey, I'm so and so and here to see boss." "Oh, hello, I have your courtside tickets and he will be down in a few to sign your form." She handed me 5 courtside seats. He had them for every game in case he or a customer wanted to go. Being unimpressed by rich people shit. Guess I'm rich then. Richer than you look. Wearing a t-shirt and jeans in a room of people wearing suits. My company CEO does this all the time. I recently went to get a car wash. I sat next to and talked to a guy who was wearing Crocs and sweats. His clothes looked new, just not expensive. He got into a newer model Porsche Panamera. Back in high school I used to do rowing. And at the rowing club there was this guy who wasn't great at socializing. Was a little awkward. But he was friendly, so I didn't mind him. We often went out on the same boats and would talk to each other as much as was possible while rowing. And at the end his dad would always pick him up afterwards wearing sweatpants, slippers and a hoodie. You might understand why. Then, I didn't believe my friend when he told me that they were one of the richest families in the world. I looked them up, and sure enough, there they were, worth an estimated $15.5 billion. Now whenever I see someone out in public looking like they're wearing what they slept in, I always assume they are mega rich and don't care about a thing anymore. Not knowing prices for common household items / foodstuffs. Either they're getting the super deluxe version and don't know the standard price, or they haven't done their own food shopping for years. Edit. To clarify, it's not about knowing the exact price of a product, most don't, but having no real conception of even a ballpark figure. Being used to buying vastly more expensive things, they guess what they believe to be cheap. Yes, like Bill Gates' appearance on Ellen. Not flexing your stupid brand clothing. Really rich people don't wear clothes with a big brand on display because they don't make free publicity for anyone. For clothes they have specific shops who could tailor them high quality clothes, purses or shoes anytime. If they are over 60 but have perfect teeth. This applies more in countries other than the US because everyone seems to have perfect teeth there. Really good teeth cost a lot of money. My boss drives a $2,000 Mercedes from the 80s. Usually wears jeans and shitty clothes at all times. No jewelry or watch. Owns a $150k USD house. He's worth $2 billion. Old boss to a company I worked for. He drove an old Toyota Hilux and worked in the factory of the building. I remember work break up I spotted him put 300,000 on a roulette table, doubled it and put it in his pocket. He would always ask me impossible questions at work, and once I got it right, he bought me lunch. Wearing casual clothes to a rich party. I read somewhere riches scream and wealth whispers. There was this one time where I had to attend a meeting with the company president. I had to wake up hella early cause the meeting was arranged early in the morning. We were all in formal attire and very serious. I expected the president to be the same. But instead, he showed up in his pajamas with his cute Pikachu mug and asked us, "Why the hell are you in suits so early in the damned morning?" It honestly made me smile and took all my nervousness away. I still work for the company and we are currently good friends. Status symbols are for the lower classes and the climbers. The wealthy just live in whatever is comfortable to them. I remember being in a cruise, and one of the families in one of the penthouse suites didn't sleep in their suite when we were at Bora Bora overnight because they had rented an overwater bungalow, minimum $1,000 a night. Same family got a hotel room when anchored at another atoll because they wanted to use the hotel services while spending time on the white sand beach. Brand new car, top of the range, all the optional extras, but it's a Toyota Corolla. I have a friend from the top 1-2% in his respective country, but you'd never be able to tell, except he'd always pay for our food when we went out with him, and would sometimes be confused about the price of certain things, or why we couldn't just do certain things, because they'd require big amounts of money. Another certainly wealthy foreign friend invited my entire family to stay in his family's second house. He never talks about money, but it somehow slipped that he's got a golden credit card, although I don't know the implications behind having such. Or a wealthy family I used to live with. We went to McDonald's drive-thru in our pajamas several times. Very carefree. Going on multiple family vacations a year and not bringing back many trinkets. A lot of small in the know things, like a certain wristwatch that costs a fortune, but for most people is indistinguishable from afar from say a 2000 watch or a really expensive pen. There's a lot of famous really expensive looking clothes and accessories like Dolce & Gabbana or Mont Blanc, stuff that's noticeable and recognizable. But then there's a whole bunch of way more discreet fashion and design brands that can cost a tenfold more and are at first glance indistinguishable from the normal high price range. They usually have a discreet logo or a distinct feature by which you can tell them apart. While they certainly have a good quality lots of times, their price/performance ratio is basically non-existent. So I think they exist only for the precise purpose of saying I'm way richer than I look. Just imagine that you have $60 billion in the bank, but you don't want anybody to know about it, but your attitude would betray you. You would be unconcerned. Understanding many millionaires are cokeheads, but very few cokeheads become millionaires. Having them and sit, as long as it still works. I don't need a new or eat. I'm not rich, but I can afford the things I want/need. It's just I don't see the reason why I need to buy new things. They are never home and constantly traveling. A lot of people mentioned rich guys wearing regular or super relaxed clothing and just not giving a duck. And while I definitely think that's true, oftentimes, paired with that outfit, they wear an insanely expensive watch. It's just something most people don't notice because they don't know what these watches look like. Not looking at the cost when shopping, just paying whatever it is with your card and moving out. Wearing sunglasses on the shirt instead of on top of the head. I had a job where I came in contact with quite a few very wealthy people. They all did this. I deduced that it's because rich people have solid, heavy sunglasses. Probably expensive hair too. Mark Zuckerberg in his grey shirt and jeans. Not knowing the price of cheap food at all, such as instant ramen or cheapest shitty sandwich. My grandma's father is CEO of huge car international corporation. So when we went to store along, she was so surprised seeing the price of cheapest instant ramen, and also she said that doesn't know how they actually taste, with kind of confused / innocent face, without any being cocky. Working not because you need the income, but because you enjoy the power of your position. My mom used to work for a guy that was a VP of an international corporation, basically handling all their finances and legal issues. He owned several malls too, and invested in large amounts of property. He was in his 70s. At a Christmas party one year, somebody asked him why he hadn't retired. With a smile, he responded with, "It's not about the money." Apostrophe. Look at the watch and shoes. That's always the tell. Some rich people dress like shit, but they always get good watches. I had a very rich friend who invited me to her birthday dinner at a Michelin-starred restaurant. I almost didn't go because I knew I wouldn't be able to cover my share of the bill, but I saved up for it to be a good friend. I showed up, and she had rented out the entire restaurant and covered the bill for the 3-course dinner with specialty cocktails for all 100 guests, several of whom she had flown in from Europe to join her. I knew she was rich, but not that rich. First class seats, not business. Edit. We are talking about international flights on brand airlines, not your Spirit Air 2 hours jump. A homeless man getting into a Lamborghini. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.